Hello and welcome to Blind Movie Club, the show where one of us picks a movie and forces us all to watch immediately after dropping the title, followed by an in-depth open discussion. I'm your host, Jake, and with me, as always, my good co-host, Ian. And my other equally as good co-host, Joquin. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right.
Sure enough, it is in fact Joquin's pick this week, and Ian and I have no idea what he's picking, so with all that being said, let's get into it.
Guys, I've been in a certain mood recently. We're watching Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Phantom.
What the hell are you doing? What?
I'm so confused now.
Let's get into it.
No, what is it?
It's blind, Jake.
So we just watched...
That's why he stood up, huh?
Yeah, same. We just watched episode 2.1, the fan edit, Attack of the Phantom. Joquin, why don't you start, because you picked it.
So, like I said at the beginning, during the intro, I'm in a bit of a mood recently. I'm in a bit of a Star Wars mood, and
Yeah.
I've heard about like the episode 1 edit, but I don't think episode 1 needs it as much as episode 2 does, because I think episode 2 was kind of on the cusp of being a decent movie, but then it just had a lot wrong with it that, you know, could be cut out. Like
The whole film.
when I found out that they cut out the diner scene, which was literally just pointless contexture for Obi-Wan to find out to go to the Camino, like I thought that, like, the cut that they did do, I already knew about that beforehand, and I thought that was very seamless. And I was like, okay, I'm more interested in this now. Because from what I've heard of this guy, it's Mike something. I can't remember his last name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But he had done an episode 1 fan edit called the Phantom edit. And that one's far more popular. But like I said, episode 2.
No Jar Jar
more.
Binks.
It's not that it has no Jar Jar Binks. It's
Very
a
little
lot
Jar Jar
of Jar
Binks.
Jar's audio.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the opinion that episode 2 is not the worst of the prequels.
It is.
I disagree.
Joquin, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this multiple times throughout your life. It is okay to be fully incorrect.
Okay, you can think that, but I mean, no. I really think that episode 2 has a better story structure than episode 1 does.
It's like comparing shit to shit.
Fan edits are fun. I'm kind of think that as long as the original exists in some way or form,
Yeah.
absolutely do your own thing.
Why not?
This is not hurting anybody's sales of episode 2, because anybody that's actually interested to go out and watch this,
Yep.
they're already going to own episode 2.
Yep.
Probably, yeah.
Or have another way of easily watching it. Like, it's not gonna hurt anything. So I don't know, and I wanted to get what you got, like your guys' idea on like what fan edits are.
Okay. Well,
I know what a fan edit is.
Well, like, what do you like them? Do you go out of your way to watch them? Or are there any that interest you? Like, tell me your thoughts on that, guys.
I mean, I have kind of a lot to say about fan edits and some to say about the actual film we just watched. So
You've done fan edits, Jake.
I've done actually 2 full-length fan edits in my life. Probably do a third eventually when I get inspired by it. But like, I've made one where I took all of the old Universal monster movies, and because they cross over, I edited them all down into one movie without any retcons or whatever, and it just works as one short little standalone movie that kind of just flows as one. And I'm proud of that. And I also made the MonsterVerse Humanless cut, which is all 4 of the Godzilla vs. Kong movies so far without any of the humans. So it's just the monsters on screen. And there's 8 minutes taken out of Godzilla Part 1 because there's only 8 minutes of monsters in it.
Yup.
And so most of Godzilla 1 is out, basically. Yep. But
far better film. Just the Godzilla scene. Whoo!
I will say I learned a lot doing that, though. Godzilla King of the Monsters is a movie that sucks. The half-hour portion of just monsters in the context of the fan edit I made, kind of brilliant. I love it. It's kind of awesome. It made me rethink how I look at that movie. I still don't like that movie, but that aspect is like, wow, holy shit, this is actually really working. So the point is, I absolutely have done fan edits. I fully agree with you, Joquin. You know, as long as you're not actually impacting it, as long as you're not trying to sell it or whatever. Then yeah, sure, you can absolutely make all the fan edits you want. It helps you learn as like an editor, as like a creative individual. Helps you do stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
I certainly learned a lot, and I enjoy it, and I fully encourage it. I've actually seen not many because they're hard to find relatively, but like I have seen a few fan edits in my life. I can add this gem to the list. But yeah, I fully encourage and support fan edits. We'll probably revisit the fan edit conversation. I really want to talk about fucking episode 2.1. So, to context for the audience, episode 2, Attack of the Clones, is the worst Star Wars movie, except for Star Wars The Clone Wars, which doesn't really count.
It is the worst live-action Star Wars movie, by far.
I simply disagree. I think that goes episode
void
1.
of anything substantive. It is void of character development. It is void of story. It's just people going to places and fighting and leaving. Like, there's nothing there to actually grip you in.
Yep.
It is void of good... Well, I mean, I'm sure for the time they were great, but I didn't watch it in 2002. I might have. I was a child. I don't even know. But it's void of anything visually interesting to look at. Even the fight scenes make no sense. The lightsaber fights, Anakin fucking T-poses still in this cut. Like, everything about like how you structure a movie, I feel like on every level, Attack of the Clones is either poor or completely abysmal in terms of that. So I've always hated Attack of the Clones. I still, to this day, after everything Disney's done, and I like most of what Disney's done, I still think Attack of the Clones is the worst Star Wars movie ever made, except for the Clone Wars, which doesn't count. So here we are at the fan edit.
Real quick, I gotta disagree with you said there's not really much here. I think out of the prequels, barring episode 3.
Thank you.
This one has the most here when it comes to character development, because even if it's painful, you get to see Padme and Anakin's relation grow. You don't have to agree that it's a good
I don't buy the relationship.
You don't have to agree that it's good character building, but it is character building, and there are parts that I like of it.
I'm glad you like them.
I'm just saying. There's also, like, I think Obi-Wan becomes a far more fleshed out character here. In episode 1, he doesn't really do anything.
He doesn't have a lot of dialogue.
Qui-Gon Jinn is like the main character of episode 1, and then he dies, which
and
is why
Qui-Gon's boring.
Yeah.
The whole episode 2 is just Obi-Wan whipping Hayden like a dog. That's it. Just like, don't do this, Anakin.
Now,
Think
to be
smarter,
fair,
Anakin.
a lot of that's cut out of this edit.
Still, it's still only thing that's here. There's nothing left.
No, there's not a lot here, but there's stuff here.
What does Obi-Wan really learn, except for like plot details? He doesn't actually grow as a character at all. But anyway, that boils down to the point I was about to make, which is that with this fan edit, all he has, the guy making this, Mike, you said, all he has is the editing after the fact. He is taking the finished product of Attack of the Clones.
Right.
This is not the same as, say, Snyder Cut, where he got to $70 million to post-produce and shoot new footage and all kinds of cool
right, exactly.
There's a lot different there.
Literally at the beginning of the intro, the text crawl literally says, "Hey, I just bought a copy of episode 2. I'm gonna edit it."
And you know what? On that level, power to him. Good for him.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
It's not like he did a bad job.
Yeah, it's very impressive what he's done here. I gotta say.
I think that at the end of the day, though, cutting out bad character development doesn't add good character development. It just means it's void of character development.
It just means it has less bad character development as opposed to more bad character development.
I know. And I don't blame the editor. He can't possibly have added good dialogue.
Yep. He can't add good dialogue. He can't add good romance scenes. He can't add no Jar Jar. You can't do anything here. You are taking a 0 out of 10 of a film and going, I will make this 0 a shorter 0. Essentially.
Pretty much. There's still nothing here. I mean, it's still... I'm cutting out scenes that I didn't like just means that the rest of the scenes that I don't like are still here. Like, I don't... Again, this is me personally, but I don't like anything Attack of the Clones. So I don't think trimming it down suddenly there's like, oh, wow, what a good... like, I can't get with it.
I respect the editing choices and like the editing choices, but I don't like the content that's being edited.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cutting out the diner scene joke when you're right. The diner scene sucks. It's a human element in Star Wars. I don't want to see human element in Star Wars. Cutting out that scene makes sense still. That being said, it just doesn't add anything. It just makes the movie shorter.
I do want to mention something, too. When the question comes up of if it's better than the original, if somebody is going to punch me in the face, I would rather them wear a boxing glove. This cut is a boxing glove mitigating a terrible punch to my face. I still get punched, and I'm still hurt, and I still would rather not have been punched. Yeah. There's nothing positive about it.
I fully agree with that sentiment. I think, despite being better than Attack of the Clones, this movie is still Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only better because it's less Attack of the Clones. I will
Again,
What's the best Fantastic Four movie? Rise of the Silver Surfer. It's the shortest.
I guess so. It's 90 minutes. I think it's the shortest Marvel movie
It's shorter than the original Fantastic Four by like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And that means it's better.
There's only so much an editor can do when they're restricted solely to using the pre-existing footage.
Yep.
I think the editor is damned if you do, damned if you don't in terms of a lot of these scenes, because there are scenes that you watch, it's like, wow, that's still painful, but if you cut it out, then it doesn't really fix it, you know?
Yeah.
You needed a good scene here instead.
See, I kind of have a different mind. Okay, Ian, first of all, you said that you don't watch Star Wars for the human element. It's the worst part of Star Wars.
The human
honestly,
element, I mean, like,
for
the
me,
tied
though.
to Earth element. Because the diner is such, like, it reminds me, when I want to watch something like this, the human element, I don't mean, like, the emotion. I mean, like, genuinely reminded of Earth.
Okay.
This is supposed to be far, far away, like, long ago, far, far away.
That's fair.
And I don't want, like, the scene in, I believe, episode 3, where she goes, anger is what makes you human. I don't want that.
She does.
The entire Canto Bite scene in episode 8, which is why episode 8 is worse than episode 3.
Oh my god. No,
Garbage.
Not this.
45 minutes of garbage.
No, it's not.
I still feel like I'm watching it. It's so bad.
It's not that bad.
awful.
First of all, every Star Wars movie has a horrendous element that you could literally just cut out.
All right.
Cut it out.
What's the worst part of episode 5?
The fucking Leia, Han, C-3PO, R2-D2 going on a space adventure.
That is camaraderie that actually builds characters,
Yeah.
as opposed to just, don't do this, Anakin. Stay back, Anakin. Think harder, Anakin. Like, those movies have, like, interesting characters and scenes in development,
Yep.
whereas this is just the same dialogue over and over in a monotone,
I would say in
flat way.
episode 8 that the fucking Canto Bite scenes do had that for Finn and Rose.
Finn and Rose are a forced, terrible subplot in that movie that makes the movie infinitely longer
You
than
can
it should
think
be.
that. You can
the
think that.
subplot with Canto Bite, I'm not a fan of, but I will agree with you, Joquin, that it does add some level of character to them. So that I'm
get
not
more Rose's
fully malicious toward. I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty indifferent.
It is
I'd rather not be there, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I don't mind it.
It's the
being there.
worst in my thing. It's the worst 45 minutes of the fucking sequel trilogy. And episode 9's not great, but like episode 9's fun.
I might agree with you, Ian,
Hell,
because
hate
I
episode
like
9.
I like most of what the sequel trilogy does.
I like 7, I like 8, and I cannot stand 9. I
love
think
9.
9 is just a very bad movie that spits on what 8 does.
It spits on what 7 and 8 does, but like not all of 7, but all of 8.
Yeah.
7 and 8 are a good duology. 7 and 9 are a good duology. 8 and 9 never match. And then as a trilogy, they don't work.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what you just said, Ian, but I would also say that 9 is the best one. Because there's
9 is the most fun.
The most fun of the three sequels.
I'm not watching Star Wars movies for fun. I want to get this out here. I want to get this out. I'm watching Star Wars for the fucking story, and the story of 9 is the Emperor returns somehow.
Yeah, that's a terrible part of that movie.
Oh,
I
yeah, it
fully
is.
agree. But Kylo Ren is the greatest character in all of Star Wars.
I agree with
Better
that.
than Vader.
I do not agree with
I
that.
think he's better than Vader.
Kylo and Rey are the only two fully consistent, fleshed out, fascinating characters of the sequel
You
trilogy.
want to talk about 9 with Kylo? He doesn't say anything after the fucking when he throws his lightsaber.
Okay.
He does not say there. He does not have a single other word of dialogue after that point in the movie.
Okay.
He dies.
That doesn't mean he's not an interesting character. Doesn't
I'm
mean
just
he's
I'm just saying
developing
like
scenes.
he's not that fleshed out of a character
He's
in
fully,
episode 9.
He has all three movies to flesh out. That's
Yeah.
the
He
culmination.
has
of
episode
what's
7
going
and
on.
8 to flesh out.
So back to this. I didn't even get to talk about fan edits. I like fan edits more for other kinds of media than movies. I've watched a couple for movies and I'm like, oh, it's neat, it's interesting, but they only have the movie to work with, and that's tough.
I'm more interested in fan edits, and of course, those are the two that I've made, that take multiple films of footage and combine it to see what you
like
can remix that way.
The fan edit of the prequel trilogy that Mud talks about.
Yeah, that
That
Topher Grace
is
did.
awesome.
Venom and Spider-Man 3 edited the prequel trilogy to one film.
And fun fact, I've watched it and it's way better.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it.
Way better.
Actually, I don't know if I want to see it.
It's way better.
I got to give him a chance. I got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
It is better. Like you are taking what you have, but it is a 5-ish hour out of like the 9 hours or 8 hours or some shit. I've seen that. I've seen I can't think about what some of the other shit I've seen is, but like when it comes to stuff like that, I'm more of like a music mashup kind of person where you're editing things like that.
I love a good mashup.
I
love a good mashup.
games when you're edit and mod stuff like that. Like I think that's more interesting.
Mhm.
I think because of the limit you have on a film fan edit, it is one of the least interesting things you can do for a fan edit
I don't.
out of visual media
I
or
disagree with
auditory
that.
media.
I can't agree with that.
I think for one film, if you are editing one film
No.
and you only have that film to edit,
Keep in mind, Ian,
it's tough. It obviously depends on the formatting.
Keep
of
in
the film,
mind, Ian,
but
this man managed to cut 30+ minutes of film.
I could
from
also
this
cut
movie.
30 minutes out of episode 2. In fact, I would cut most of the film.
I would say though that his edits were pretty seamless. There's not like a single point where I was like, "Oh, well, that was clearly edited." Like, had I not watched episode 2 right before that, like I would be kind of hard struck.
I know what you're talking about.
And
but
like even you guys like were watching it.
I
hadn't seen it.
noticed. I remember the movie.
No, I'm just saying, like there were points like that they clearly like cut down some stuff,
Yeah.
and you guys were like, "Oh, well, you didn't really
I
notice
noticed.
it."
But
And I think that this movie, it just meshes together better in this, like
It-
being so cut down. Like the way I kind of see it is how it is now that original episode 2 is like director's cut, where all director's cuts kind of suck because they're much longer and they add pointless bullshit.
all director's cuts don't suck.
all director's cuts do not suck.
Most director's cuts kind of suck.
No, I've only seen like one director's cut I don't like.
What was it?
Suicide Squad.
If you want to talk about like, and I know this is kind of a deep pull, but Kingdom of Heaven, the director's cut is an amazing movie, and the theatrical cut is horrible.
BVS, the director's cut's better than the theatrical cut.
Yeah, it's an improvement. I have problems with both, but it's a very strong improvement.
Like it is.
I don't know, man. I've only seen the director's cut of BVS, but like I feel like
Don't go back and watch the theatrical then. Because,
No.
okay, if you've seen either cut of BVS,
that's too much BVS.
No, BVS is good.
it's the kind of thing where, like, if you like it, you'll like the other cut, and if
Yeah.
you don't, you'll probably won't like the other cut. Like,
That's fair.
they're so similar in
Yeah.
tone and style. If that's why you're not about it, then that's
But
not gonna help
Joklin,
you.
for this, I'm just saying, like, for a movie like this, none of the scenes are shifted around. Nothing's moved. It's just the film with stuff cut out. This is not. If it was like Memento,
There was
where
some
if
stuff shifted
Memento-
around. There was though.
Go ahead.
The diner scene. They did rearrange some things. Like cutting out the diner scene, you had to, because Obi-Wan went to the archives first before Padme and Anakin left off planet. So they did rearrange some stuff.
I'm sorry, one scene.
How does that impact the flow? That's the same.
It's the same
Scenes.
thing. Yeah.
I don't see that doesn't add anything to Obi-Wan's character. That doesn't add anything to the story.
Like if Memento, the cut where it's in order, did not exist from Christopher Nolan already, and someone fan edited that, that is interesting because it is taking the plot of the film, shifting it around in chronological order and doing something with it.
Mhm.
This is just, all right, I'm going to take episode 2, I'm going to cut out some parts that suck, and it's the film. It's basically the same movie but shorter.
I am a self-professed absolute hater of Attack of the Clones. I am fully that guy. Do not worry. But like, I really wish that there was just there was something else besides editing the film. I know you can't reshoot it; it would look like shit, and you wouldn't have Ewan Hayden there. That's why I really do appreciate Obi-Wan on Disney Plus, because they have those two actors back, and at certain points they do flash back to them in their full Padawan Jedi gear, learning, and they relay those scenes back. That to me,
Well, that just sounds like Clone Wars.
yeah, well, they do that, but in a live action context that serves the story that they're telling in that show. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I feel like in that sense, it's more attached to the prequels. I'm not saying it's turning them into good movies. It's impossible, but I much prefer that than less of Phantom.
Yeah.
I do think that with when you watch the prequels, if you have more outside context, like watching Clone Wars or like watching, I don't know what you just said, Obi-Wan.
Yep.
It does kind of make things make more sense, especially in episode 3's case.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because again, Mudd has talked endlessly about this. That Clone Wars and Rebels, in his mind, have improved this trilogy,
It is better because you have context for why things are happening sometimes.
and I'm fully
Fun
happy
fact,
about that.
more is better. That being said, of the prequel movies,
Well,
less is better.
in this scenario, less is better.
You're right. That being said, the content still sucks, so it doesn't matter that there's less of it. Less bad content is still bad content.
Yeah, it's slightly less egregious because I get to leave a half hour early.
I think we're looking at it in two different ways. I do think removing that makes it a far better movie.
Yeah, but
But you guys are like, oh, well, it's better because it's shorter. I'm saying it's better because it meshes better. It feels like a better. It feels like like the pacing is just so improved here compared to the original.
The pacing of the bad content doesn't make me enjoy the bad content.
It's
Also,
still, but it
Joker, what
feels
you're
more like a
saying
better movie.
with the pacing, when I hated and watched episode 2, at no point was I like, wow, the pacing is really what's dragging it down.
It was the performances, it was the script.
Yeah, it was all of the aspects that make episode 2.
The pacing
episode 2.
definitely fucking hurts.
Oh yes, because it feels like you're watching it for even longer.
The pacing can be on the top 20 list of bad things about episode 2, but that's still, if you improve or change that completely, even if this is the best paced fan edit of all time, it's still the same story and characters and acting and development and dialogue. And there's less of the dialogue, but that, again, what Ian was saying leads to...
It actually hurts.
No shot. It hurts.
I think...
We were talking about the romance stuff off screen, how, like, if you remove the romance stuff, it actually hurts their relationship. I fully disagree. Because what we got with the stuff on screen, keep in mind that I'm not saying that you guys should rewatch episode 2 as it normally is.
I'm not going to, don't worry.
But I watched it yesterday, I watched it last night, and fucking seeing that stuff hurts the romance even more than just not having that stuff in. That's where we're in two different mind modes.
Well,
we're in two different camps
I think
here.
he cut it poorly.
I don't.
For the scene where he's like, "Oh, that makes," she goes, "That makes me uncomfortable," and he just stares at her, and you miss a lot of the context in between that and them kissing, and it just seems really fucking creepy.
If you boil it down, at the end of the day, you're cutting out bad romance subplot instead of because you can't add a good one, so you are left with barely any.
Yeah.
So you sit there, instead of going, wow, that was egregious, you go, wow, that's incredibly underdeveloped, and I don't buy that they're together.
Yeah.
Because
instead of buying that they're together through shittiness, because like you can understand.
I still wouldn't.
I think through episodes, just 2, because 1 doesn't. They're children. Episode 2 at least like attempts to do something, and you can like look at the result in the end and be like, yeah, it sucks, but like at least there's multiple scenes of them interacting.
With the fan edit having taken out a lot of the romance, which again I completely understand why, it's terrible dialogue.
It's bad.
We are left with a movie that has little to no reason why they even like each other, because they only have scenes where they hate each other.
I disagree. I kind of see it more here.
How? Where?
I don't know.
Where?
It just works. It works better for me here. Because there is less, I buy that they were off screen just having the time of their lives together. I can absolutely buy that.
You cannot go off screen. That means it's better. For a romance, I don't buy it because I'm not seeing it. As a person invested in a romance of a film,
yeah, we're left to just
you were left to make the assumption.
Yeah,
and I'm really good. You're glad at making assumptions, but I do not see what is happening. Therefore, nothing is happening. I am busy absorbing the plot of what is actually being presented to me.
What they do show does it. You can buy that there is a romance there. If
romance.
If you show the rest of it, the fucking garbage dialogue, you do not buy that romance. It feels more fake.
Joe Quinn, I disagree with the fact that...
I disagree with your disagreement.
I disagree with that disagreement about disagreement.
I agree with both of you about disagreeing with that.
That's impossible. No,
but that's impossible.
I agree that watching the fucking Attack of the Clones, the full-length movie, you're not buying the romance, but I disagree that removing the bad dialogue means that you buy the romance, because I don't see any scene where I'd see like, oh yeah, Padme would fall in love with that guy after 2 lines of dialogue.
You don't see. Okay, but to be fair, you also said you don't see that with the original.
But you can see it more.
You're right. I don't see it in either.
They interact more.
No, you cannot see. No. Jake says he can't see it. Therefore, watching the full movie, he can't see it even more.
I can't see it in either situation.
I'm just saying.
But what you're saying, where I buy it now, I don't buy it now.
I'm saying I can buy it more now than I can before.
I absolutely can't.
Well,
I think they're on equal footing in terms of what do you buy out of it. Because Padme still has no fucking reason to hook up with Anakin based solely on this movie. Even if you want to include episode 1 in there, based solely on the interaction
should not be including episode 1 in there.
That's why I went, no, they're children.
Even
if
you did,
not be
this
including
child,
episode 1 in there.
It's gross. But
Are
like,
you
even
an
still,
angel?
even still, if you want to not include that or whatever, just based on the scenes in this movie, if you watch these scenes, I absolutely do not buy that Padme and Anakin would get together. Nor would, after he says, I slaughtered fucking everybody, she'd be like, all right, let's get married. Like, I don't buy any of that shit. Like, none of that makes any fucking sense. There's not even a scene, and again, I hate to go off on this so long, but, like, there's not even a scene in the actual movie where it's explained why or how Padme would be, like, trying to bone Anakin, even though he's, like, A, mentally unstable, B, a genocidal maniac towards the end of this movie, and C, flat and boring and monotone. Like, all of these factors are not attractive qualities in a person. So
That's not true. Even Hitler had a wife.
probably by force. I'm not going to speculate
Nah,
on that.
Ava Braun was also just not a good person.
Yeah, there's that. But Padme is apparently a good person in this trilogy. I haven't seen anything malicious from her. So
No,
I can't-
she is. She
I
is
just can't
not.
get with it.
She is not an evil character.
No,
by
she's
So
any
not.
anyway, for those reasons and several more, I think
I'm out.
that's basically what, and that's what I'm out. I'm Barbara
Sorry.
from Shark Tank. No, for those reasons and several more, I will say that the romance is shit in Attack of the Clones,
It's
and for
shit.
different reasons, shit here.
Yeah.
I don't see it
I
as
think
like
it's less shit.
I don't know.
That's because there is less shit.
Therefore, it's less shit.
Therefore, I guess by quantity, you're right. It's
By
less
quantity,
shit.
there is less shit, but by in terms of romance on screen to romance that I can believe because I am watching the romance on screen between these two characters, which I don't like because both of their dialogue sucks. Less of that means there is less of the actual plot points that actually matter for their romance in the scope of just the plot of the
disagree. All the
romance.
plot points are
Therefore, there is
there.
less
They're
good
all
parts of the
there.
romance, even though the parts of the romance are already bad.
They're all there though. They're
They're
not
not.
cutting what he's cutting out from the romance. Doesn't it helps because you don't see that fucking awfulness that doesn't. Jake, I say that having it there hurts because you get to see more of the shit.
Mm-hmm.
What you see here is not as shitty. He's picking out like the least shit parts to keep in.
It's
And
still
I
shit.
think that works better.
It's like if you pour through a pile of shit for like nuggets of corn,
But
and put
it's
them together
still
and
better.
say, "There's an ear of corn."
But it's still better.
Like it's still.
I would
fucking
rather
shit.
eat less shit.
I don't want to eat either. Is my point. Neither are good.
But dude, you can't say that it's like you can't say it's worse. Ian's saying it's worse.
Joquin, to throw you a bone, I will agree. This is not worse than Attack of the Clones. That
It's
being
not.
said, wrapping up here, 0 out of 10, same score as Attack of the Clones.
0 out of 10, same score as Attack of the Clones.
It's
Attack
on
of the
equal
Clones
footing.
by itself is like a 3. You
That is
Whoa.
3 points too high.
can
Whoa.
shoot me for that. This is like a 5.
That is a high.
I'll go right
Jake,
ahead and I'll
Jake,
say
this cut of Attack of the Clones good as the Matrix.
Yeah, it's equal as good as Yeah, that's
Joe Quinn.
about as well fucking romance.
fucking fuck you. The
The
romance. is great.
romance in the Matrix is not 4 scenes.
The romance in the Matrix is Trinity, you're gonna fall in love with the one.
He is only the one because she inevitably loves him.
And also, not for nothing, but Neo as a character is an attractive person. He does not talk like this the
Yeah.
whole time.
What are you talking about? It's Keanu Reeves. He only talks like
No,
that.
he
No.
does not. He absolutely
He's good in the
does not.
Matrix.
Whoa.
And he's good
Whoa
in John
has
Wick.
more connotations in it than any line Hayden says in this movie.
Oh my god.
Anyone.
No,
All right.
remember when
I'm gonna fucking
do it now?
Do it now.
I'm gonna end up dying in this room.
Good.
Bro, bro,
They're gonna kill me.
bro.
So why don't you read that fancy old outro?
Yeah. Let me just pull it up again because I'm pretty. I was so caught up in what I was doing that I completely.
Damn,
got
I
rid of
can't
it.
wait to marry my girlfriend after 1 week instead of 4 years.
Oh,
I'm
God,
just gonna
yeah.
cut our relationship down.
Although it's not like it was good then. But anyway, I don't
The
actually
same
have-
amount of time went on, Ian.
Whatever. To wrap it up, we just want to say that we starkly disagree about the fan edit of Attack of the Clones. We almost agree about Attack of the Clones the normal
No,
way.
I think we all agree that the fan edit is better.
Yeah.
We
It's-
all agree that it's better. We all think it's better for different reasons. and some of us think it's far
It
better.
is better because I get to watch less Attack of the Clones.
I think honestly that's the only reason it's better.
Yeah.
I think that's it. It's just
And
shorter.
it takes out the tied to Earth element with the diner scene.
I don't even mind that shit because Star Wars has got humans as the main characters.
Yes, but you can believe that there are people who look like humans, but they're not actually humans.
Then you could believe there's diners that aren't actually diners. It's the same philosophy. But I don't know. In any case, to wrap up this whole show because we've gone off way too long, we'll see you guys in the next one, which is going to be my pick. I'm very excited for it.
He's picking the episode 1 fan edit.
Oh, God.
No,
I'm
he's
not
not.
picking a freaking fan edit. I will say before we end, I have not seen a fan edit that has completely changed my opinion on the original movie. I've not seen a bad movie edited to be a good one or vice versa.
Yeah, even BBS, like I like the original cut. I like
That's not a
the
fan edit.
I don't know if
director's
director's cuts are
better.
fan edits.
They're
Director's
not.
cuts are better. Yeah, no, I don't know if I have either. To be quite honest, no. The Topher Grace is a better viewing of the trilogy than
I want to
watching
see
the
it.
trilogy.
I want to watch
It's a
it.
better viewing of watching the trilogy than watching the trilogy.
Big fan of Lou's Cafe. But yeah, in any case, I will say that we are out and go watch Kingdom of Heaven, the director's cut.